anybody? Open session at planning, I don't think we've got anyone from the public to speak.
No.
So we can skip past that one. Meetings can be now be recorded, which I guess we are recording now. Does anyone else wish to record the meeting? Okay, item 77, apologies for absence. Just the two.
Yeah, just so I'm going to be late from Councillor Barnett. He's going to be about 10 minutes late. He's going to have to leave early as well.
Has everyone seen the apologies?
Yeah.
Approved. Okay. Thank you. 78, to receive members and officers' personal and disclosable pecuniary interests in items on the agenda.
My application for a garage is on, I think.
Oh, yes.
Number 2 on the planning list.
Number 2.
Yeah, that's Joe's interest.
And I've got to declare an interest in number 8 and number 9, which are the same one.
Okay.
I declare an interest in item 5 on the planning list. I know the applicant.
Okay.
Is it anyone excited?
What, Clark Irving's shed?
I didn't know we had an application.
It's a big shed.
Very good.
Consider written request for new DPI dispensations.
Well, as you know, just a note, I suppose, one from Councillor Fernandez, which was approved at case last week.
Item 80, consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in private session. Are there anything that should be discussed in private?
Nothing struck me.
Okay, 81, confirm the minutes of the previous meeting. So, approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of August, 232455 to 232475 inclusive.
I'll move it.
Are we all okay with them?
Yeah.
Thank you. 82, completed Kirklees planning applications list. So to note the list 232404 updated with the views of the committee. We all okay with that? Can we note that? 83, Kirklees Council new planning applications. Consider new or amended applications received from Kirklees. List 232405 and closed. So this is our list of applications then, yes. So, number 1 on the list.
It's a whole new one.
It is indeed.
It's difficult because without block plans, it's difficult to see how near the boundaries they are, where they are claiming the boundaries are, and there seems to be some discussion and disagreement about where the boundaries are being claimed in the application and where they are on the land registry. And there isn't a block plan, so you can't see it. Similarly, you can't really see, you can't see how big it is, which seems to be a bother. And you can't tell whether additional parking has been created for the additional bedrooms. So I suggest we refuse it.
Can I just check?
Wanting more, in order, because we don't know enough.
Sorry, is this 46 Station Road only, that one?
No, Colin, 5A Green.
5A Green Road. It's number 1 on the list.
Mary?
Yeah, I mean this is a re-application really, isn't it? Because the previous application was refused. It'd been comprehensively refused as well about the massing and proximity to the boundaries. It wasn't subservient, but quite a lot of things. And it didn't look to me as though the new proposals were very much different from the previous ones. So I would be inclined to oppose it. And nor did they explain anywhere how the refused, the terms of the reason for the refusal have been addressed. So.
I mean, the fact that it's in a conservation area is unlucky for them because it's quite a modern building. It's not a conserving type of building, but they just I mean, it was refused, and you can't tell from the
I
plans.
think it might be worth making the point about Poor's Roads again.
Yes.
This seems to be quite common, doesn't it?
I think they've been selectively chosen. I think it's quite deliberate. If these are not somebody trying to do them themselves and not being very good, these are proper drawings, but they've not shown us the ones we
If
need
you've had
to
it
see.
refused, you have to address the reasons that it's been refused. If you haven't addressed the reasons it's going to be refused, then it's just going to continue to be refused. So, like, it's just a point of exercise, isn't it?
Okay, so we're moving to a close, yeah?
Yes.
Everybody okay with that one?
Yep.
Number 2, erection of detached garage, which is,
Hepworth,
yes.
she's my ward, yeah, but okay, it's absolutely fine, no problems.
Joe, you
Yes.
say? Who feel the same on that one?
She can't say.
You can't say it, it's just.
Oh, is it yours? I'm just testing to see.
I had to look at it, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I fully support.
Okay, move to support then.
Yeah.
Number 3, list the building concept.
That's higher, it's listed, isn't it? So I understand that we don't comment on applications we've listed. But having looked at it, it's just by the church in Netherthong. It's overlooking the churchyard rather than other properties. It's already had a lot of redevelopment there. And they have a hard standing. The point that occurred to me looking at it was that in creating a garage with a cedar roof, they're actually improving the situation rather than other ones. So I don't have any reason to say no.
It's
to
hard,
that.
isn't it, appealing, in like, it's hard putting planning in a listed area, but I know where it is because, I've got some friends who live there, and it's lovely, like,
Yeah, I've been past it on the roads a few
Yeah,
times.
there was a big, it's like farmhousey house, wasn't there? They've already extended it a couple of times. So it's in the garden of.
We don't have to cop out altogether, we can still say we support subject to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the building,
Yeah.
it's the building. We'll do
I heard an interesting thing on television about cedar roofs. You have to pop up and make sure you pick out the sycamore seedlings and things. I've never thought about that. I thought they don't need much maintenance.
There's a big tree
Quite
that
nice
overhangs it as
product
well.
to work with.
Okay, which one are we on now? 5, is it? Erection of stables.
Yeah, that was 3 and 4 together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think 5, yes.
Yeah.
5. Yes, erection of stables, yes. In there.
I mean, it's in a kind of an empty field, really. I mean, I couldn't see any problem with this one, really.
Stabling's a really expensive thing in the Home Valley. It's ridiculous, really. I think that if you can put your own stables on your own land and be self-sufficient, it usually generates jobs because you usually end up having someone grooming for you, mucking out for you. And you would never get, under new planning law, it'd never extend to anything other than stables because it's been built after the 2015 legislation, so it's never going to turn into an house, is it? It's
No.
just a block of stables.
We're okay with that then? Support that?
Yeah.
Number 6, which is, what's mine? Demolition of existing conservatory, single-story rear extension, blah blah blah. I'll put around this. Well, there's only one comment from one of the neighbours. On the application, they've said that it's not visible from the road or path or anywhere, but apparently it is visible from Victoria.
I was going to say, it's very visible from Victoria Park.
The question would be about the terrace bit. They usually don't allow you a roof terrace if you then can look back on your neighbours. So is this house all on its own?
No, it's a little stub cul-de-sac off Binns Lane.
Yeah.
So you're looking down onto.
It's looking down on
onto
Victoria
Park.
Park.
There is already a small terrace, so
Yeah.
just sort of extending it. I don't like flat roofs. Flat roofs.
I'm sure there'll be a slight pitch on it, won't there?
Apart from that, I.
We'll try to make sure it's aluminium.
So yes,
I think that's
I
all
thought
right.
it was alright.
Okay, support?
Yeah.
Thank you. Number 7.
Formation of a roof terrace. Maybe we all need to get on this roof terrace job. Everyone else got a roof terrace. I've got a roof terrace.
Fashionable at the moment, aren't they? Yes.
Rich, have you got a roof
I
terrace?
haven't.
This was one where they had pre-app advice, which of course we don't get to see. There's been 4 comments on it. 2 were for it and 2 against. The 2 that were against are alleging that it's a listed building, but actually it looks as though it isn't. It's just next door to a listed building.
It's adjacent to a listed building.
Yeah.
I know, but if we did that, didn't we? If you were next to a listed building, or a listed building was 2 doors down, or a listed building were half an hour down the road, you get into one of them things, don't you?
We have a
It
whole
does
lot of
make
listed buildings, you
Yeah.
can't.
It can be a reason for refusal for proximity to listed buildings. If somebody does something really garish, you can have that as a reason to refuse
Their
it.
complaint was actually that it was a listed building.
But it's not.
It's not.
Well, that's not a reason for refusal, then, is it?
No. I do think though that one of the paragraphs in Kirklees' SPD says it shouldn't negatively affect neighbouring properties or alter the local character, and I think it very much does.
Exactly, yeah.
This
Not
is
in
one,
keeping.
this is the one where they're putting a fence in the corner, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
this sort of
It-
protect
yeah.
the neighbours
Do-
looking
yeah.
on.
The neighbours are complaining because they'll be looking into their sort of roof lines.
Yeah. It's a strange
It's a
arrangement.
strange arrangement. I thought we had to oppose this one.
I was.
It's retrospective, well, that matters, but there's the impact on neighbour of looking out onto one, and it's a window on stairs, isn't it,
Yeah.
something, corridor, but even so, I mean, I think it would reduce their light going.
I think without actually having
Yeah.
got on to the, had a really detailed look on site, I think we've got to rely on Kirklees officers site visit, presuming they do. But, yeah, it's a difficult one that, because there is the danger of overlooking.
I didn't feel sort of comfortable with it. It seemed out of kilter with the houses around.
I mean, the glass, yeah, and the glass screen is happening.
So I'm suggesting we oppose.
So would it be not in keeping? Is there a reason for a refusal?
Yeah.
It's actually in Kirklees' SPD there.
Yeah.
The impact on the neighbour.
And the impact.
Negative impact on the,
Is that overlooking then?
on the neighbours.
Yeah, overlooking.
In a way.
It's a rating in their kitchen or something, it's very
It's actually the bathroom.
Oh, right, it's
Sorry?
even worse.
The bathroom, that's even worse.
Yes.
They might be into that person.
They may have put the window there deliberately.
Just never know, do you?
Well, apparently the neighbour
Just
said
saying.
they offered to put frosted glass in.
Oh,
The neighbour said they don't want
They
it.
don't want it. It's done it.
Just go back, you just don't know what goes on.
Okay, so are we moving to object?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 8, number 9, this was the one, would you take this one, Tom?
Yeah, number 8 and number 9. So, erection of single-storey porch extension to south elevation. The old dairy, Catworth Moor, Home Firth. So to look at this one, we've got. Who's going to look at this one?
Well, it should have
I
been,
would say.
it should have been me and Adrian.
Yeah, I know. So I was scratching around. I was trying to work out what the initials were. Mary, would you like to give some comments
I
on
did
this one?
look at it. It's a single story porch extension. I don't have much impact on anybody, and the elevation on which this porch is on is already a pretty kind of messy looking thing, so I suggest we support it.
Yeah, and number 9 looks to be the same thing as well. It's got the
Yes,
same
it is.
visual
Is
as
there
well.
any difference
Yeah.
between them, or has it just been repeated?
No, it's got the same planning number from Kirklees as well there. So, Mary, are you suggesting that we approve this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
No.
Okay. Shall we approve vote on that? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Number 10, erection of 2-storey side extension,
I remember this one.
Netherton.
This is a big extension.
it was refused in May, for again, quite, comprehensively refused.
You're only allowed a certain percentage of your actual house footprint, aren't you? 30% of your actual
I think
house
that's just
footprint.
guidance. I
I
don't think
don't think
I
it
don't-
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't- I don't
yeah,
think you refuse it
definitely,
based
just
on that.
say, promise you, Kirklees have nailed me down to that a few times. My garage has been redrawn 7 times, I promise you, it's just 30%.
Can you actually get a car into it?
Yeah, I promise there's a car, you can promise, I promise you'll get a car in it, but if, I wouldn't, my husband will be driving the car into it, but like, see, so 30%, so if it's over that, then the council refuse it anyway, because it's too big, so.
It's all of 30%, I would guess, from looking at the drawings.
Is it like a new house next door?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is,
It does, and it's got this glass link, it just looks totally,
And the
totally
basement.
inappropriate. And the basement now they've gone down.
Does underground count though?
I think we haven't seen this before, haven't we, or something similar to
We
this
have
one.
seen it,
does
they've
ring a
only
bell.
not changed it much, they've moved the extensions back from the,
Oh, it's quite a good extension.
and SDPs, but it still looks a hulking great extension, and it doesn't look in keeping with the building. No, it's not subservient to the building, so I will decline to propose it again.
So this is on the grounds of it's overdevelopment and it's too big and it's not in keeping.
well, it's very isolated. Its location down in the, it's sort of on the way to Healy House and the back way, back way out of Holland. So and it's off quite a long private drive.
So it can't be able to keep it then, can it?
Yeah.
Well,
with the rest of the building
Building,
stuff.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Is that okay? Are we opposing it on those grounds? Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep typing these as we go along. Number 11, single story rear extension, Buckles one.
Yep, I've had a look at this one. It's a small extension to the rear of the garage. It looks like they've had a planning permission for this previously, and it's been approved before, but it's just expired. There's a comment on there as well from the neighbours who said they were okay with it. So I don't really see. It looks a bit weird being in it, like having it on the back of the garage. Unless the plans convert the garage and do something with it, it looks a bit weird. But I can't see any reason to refuse it, so let's just approve it.
Okay. Number 12, are we on there? Yes, listed building consent for replacement windows, Station Road.
Well, I didn't really like this. It is listed building consent, but the removing sash windows and moving to top windows, I thought was inappropriate on that.
I mean, the drawings are atrocious.
And the drawings were atrocious.
This is retrospective as well, isn't it?
It is retrospective, yes, yeah.
I mean, it's
So-
sort of, the whole application goes from bad to worse. You know, oh, we've done it, we're going to put in, oh, I'll get a grandchild to draw a
Somebody's
picture for me.
There were lots of photos, weren't there? But I couldn't really make out whether that's how they are now or how they were.
I think it's how they are now, because I don't think they've taken them before, but.
I've had to replace the windows because I didn't maintain them. Yeah.
I mean, it is a listed building, and we can just leave it to listed buildings,
They
I
know.
suppose.
Yeah, it's in conservation areas, also the conservation officers will be looking at it.
And if he's done things
So-
like replacing sash windows of different types, they're not going to approve it, so.
No, it doesn't sound very good.
Okay, so we'll leave it to the listed buildings officer.
Yeah.
13. Change of use, possible demolition of the building, Wooddown Methodist Church.
I mean,
Right one, yeah.
there's not a problem with the change of use.
No.
Well, it's 13 and 14, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's also the building as well.
I mean, the change of use sounds as though it's essential, really.
Yes, I mean, you know, it's a logical change of use.
Mm.
My only queries is the solar panels.
I thought it was really interesting, this one. Oh, it's a lovely building, isn't it? I
The
thought
thing
there were lots of positives about it.
Yeah.
Air source heat pump, solar panels, so not sure whether they're permissible or not, but car charger, rainwater harvesting, they're taking down the 70s demolition, 70s building.
Yeah, the horrible bit.
So it seems to have a lot going for it. The only things I wasn't sure about was, if you look at the southwest elevation, I didn't like the windows, they look wrong for the rest of the building.
What with the
Right.
high folding
They're
doors.
too tall,
Yes.
and I wasn't entirely clear about what they were doing with the stained glass.
Yeah, that was vague.
Is the glass listed?
Well, some of it, the
Well,
stairs
every-
are broken and the frames are rotten, but that doesn't mean the glass isn't recoverable.
No, you can mend it.
But is it listed as well as the building?
Well, everything in the building is listed, so to speak.
Is it?
Yeah, the main fabric is, so if you have stained glass windows, you need then you need permission to
Save.
demolish them and replace them.
Right.
If it's savable, then really, to me, one saving.
Yeah.
It's just not clear, I'm not saying they're not doing that, it just doesn't make it very clear.
Yes, they haven't actually stated exactly what's going on.
It's quite hard when you converted a church to anything like that. One at the top of the chapel at the top of Epworth, they've done that quite sympathetically, to be quite honest, and they've like taken some stuff out. But you want to save the buildings, don't you? We don't want to destroy them. It's quite good.
Could we support, but just, we need a few points.
Well, we do support the change of use,
Yes.
don't we? There's no problem with that.
I don't feel qualified to approve it because solar panels on a listed building. That's like going by all the stuff I've done through before with the council. You think you can't do that because it's not.
Has that changed?
I think we were discussing it earlier,
Yeah.
it should change. They're certainly allowing double glazing.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think it's good, especially with the windows side of things. And I'd be interested to see what the officers say about the solar panels, because whether it is okay or not, I don't know. And the other thing about it there is as well, it's also close to quite a few other listed buildings nearby there as well. So if that's okay, then well, all listed buildings are supposed to go solar panels on. Because I remember quite a few years ago now, one of my friends, it wasn't allowed to have a satellite dish on his house because of the listed building. And that might be because it depends on the level of listed that it is, I suppose. So like if you've got something like a huge castle art in the middle of nowhere, which is like English heritage and all that kind of stuff, you wouldn't allow solar panels on it, would you?
No.
Like on Castle Howell or Chepstow House.
You can have those solar
Well, you
tiles now,
can,
can't
you might if they've got
No.
parapets, it's like here,
Yes.
this building, you could hide the solar panels, the only people who would see them would be the people up the hill, they
Well-
wouldn't be visible from the
Well,
road.
this is what I'm quite interested to see how this one goes, to be honest. And I think, like, I don't feel qualified enough to give a judgment about it myself now. But like, if Kirklees officers are approving these kind of things now with solar panels on, the next one comes up, I'd be like, yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
But with this instance, I think we should refer it to the listed building and conservation area officers.
And again, we could support subject to listed buildings consent.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
I just thought overall, we've got a lot going for it.
I
It's
think
an
we're going to
outstanding.
see lots of panels out with air source heat pumps
Yeah.
and things like that. You're going to have to see that because
Yeah,
the
there's
government
no
wants
choice.
there's no choices. It's like
Gas wells are banned by 2035 or 2030 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, it's good to happen.
Right, yeah, I'll have to go now.
You're going to go all the way back over to Strathwaite now?
No, new place.
Say that.
Yeah, but I do support the Liverpool ones anyway, so as they say now, this is leaving the door to vote not Alice. Let's see. Are we all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Subject to the buildings. Number 15. Certificates have a lawfulness, which house Fairfield Road. This seemed like a bit of a waste of time almost. I mean, it's retrospective, it's work that was done back in 2000. It's immune from enforcement because it's been done more than 4 years ago. So,
I mean, to me,
It's not much
it's
point
struck
in
me,
it.
this was the plan from the word go.
yeah.
And knowing that Kirklees don't have officers going out checking,
Yeah.
it's, we do it anyway.
Yeah.
And it sounds, to me, it's been deception from stage one.
It is difficult though, because I was in a situation with certificate of lawfulness because my drawer had colon cancer and forgot to send a picture of the stone and the septic tank in. So sometimes a certificate of lawfulness isn't. In this instance, it might be different, but
This was a very elaborate garden shed.
be nice though, wouldn't it?
Well,
If you think after COVID, all the nice garden sheds that I've gone, if we start putting certificate of lawfulness in, Harvard Valley's going to be caught.
In the application, the software admit that they've done it different to the
Yes,
planning permission.
they did, yeah. We got a planning permission for a shed and we built a house.
Well, that's confusing then. I mean, if they really have done that,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah,
say
but
that.
You can't, it's over 4 years.
No, but is it okay though? You like
But if you've lied from the word go,
Well, why is there an application if we can't say no?
It's not an application that's passed as a certificate of lawfulness. So
Yeah.
basically, how it works is, I only know this because I have previously been through it unintentionally because I couldn't put my planning application in for my garage without sorting that little problem out, which was very expensive, I assure you. But basically, because it's been over 4 years, if it was a different building, like say for example a stable block or an agricultural shed, it would be 10 years, but because it's an actual dwelling, it's 4. But the government's on about changing it to 10. So you would have a window of 10 years.
Right.
So they are actually putting legislation through at the moment that certificate of lawfulnesses for houses and dwellings will change from 4 years to 10. But because Boz got himself in a bit of trouble, it actually delayed the legislation going through. But by the end of the year, the legislation will change and it will go from 4 years to 10. So, and I only know that because obviously I have been through the drawing.
So, I mean, they can't enforce it even if it was a problem.
I just think it's, you know,
I
Kirklees
agree.
are in a cleft stick.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
What do you do with someone who's lied from the word
It
go?
doesn't feel very
Presumably
good.
they're going for this certificate now because they may have an intention of selling this separate
Yes.
dwelling.
Yeah.
Well, the children have all now used it, haven't they? And
Look
the
out,
grandchildren.
keep an eye open for the for sale sign.
You do
Or,
hear these
or the
things.
Airbnb.
You do hear these occasions sometimes where people are ordered to pull things down that they've done unlawfully. So if we are against it and we don't agree with it, then we should refuse it based on that.
But it has to be within that 4 years, Tom, it can't be after the 4 years.
Okay.
If you can prove that it's been done at a certain date, there's nothing you can do about it that is lawful, because Kirklees haven't enforced it.
As a gesture, we can oppose it and say we're not happy with it, but it's not going to make any difference.
As a gesture, I'm inclined to do that.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds as though it's been a completely cynical exercise for several years.
Sometimes those certificates of lawfulness aren't accidentally in this situation, but I'm not sure.
No, but I mean, from the word go, they said, can we put up a shed?
There was a story
They've got
though.
permission for one thing, built a different thing.
Yeah.
You didn't do that back.
There was a story I read about somebody down south who would, like, they had this huge barn or something like that, and within it they built this house.
Did that,
And after about 4 or 5 years, they took the barn down around it and said, oh well, the house has been there for so long now, so it's
they got
right.
away with it.
No, they didn't do. I think they found a way to not let them get away with it.
Well,
You
Yeah,
do have to prove it. So like with our house, it had been there from that time. That was fine, and it was just the stone and septic tank that was the issue.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the wine tasting group that have gone underneath the stage for our
Okay.
meeting. But we just wondered, you will make sure we're not locked in.
And
Let's have a wine.
Have you got enough wine to keep you cheerful overnight?
Yeah, but it might get a bit tedious in there. So will you make sure that we've got, or we can come and so we can tell you.
Yeah.
We will make sure you're not locked in.
Thank you very much.
Well, they're not kidding, they've got to supply.
That's No, just join them. Let's let the lock the door and join them.
I think the real shame with this one is that it wasn't noticed within this 4 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
And somewhere should have flagged it up, I suppose, but there we go.
Well, I think we should assume.
Let's just
I
hope.
think we should
Just
refuse it.
because we
It's a
can.
matter of principle. isn't
Yeah.
it?
On what basis are we refusing?
Because it's not as per the plan.
Because, yeah.
I feel I should abstain because it'd be hypocrisy, but only because I found myself in this situation. Just like,
You're not being hypocrisy if you've done it intentionally, Joan.
I didn't do it intentionally, I promise.
So it's not hypocrisy then, is it?
Well, no.
Okay, number 16.
Yeah, I looked at this. I didn't really understand the. I mean, there's not all we can do to stop it. They've changed some of the houses. They want to pull some more trees down because of the highways demands that have been made, as far as I can see. And there's nothing we can.
No.
I mean, it's
They're changing house type Z to house type Y.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because of the
Um,
Z's worth more money than Y to sell?
Probably.
No, I don't think it is. No, they were told to change things. I was reading, as far as I can tell, the additional trees are because they had to change the access routes, and that was highways making them do it. And I think that the houses weren't to make. I don't think it was to more profit.
No,
but I
it's-
didn't read
no,
it.
well, it's a change to building regulations, isn't it? Part
That's
L.
right. Yes.
And so they can't build the houses they were going to build because they were not, they wouldn't conform with Part L, so now they've changed, and it's
Yeah.
interesting that they're all, it's the small houses, I noticed, the two
That have had to go, and the big
they're
ones
going
have
to
stayed.
be changed.
Isn't that astonishing?
They're having to add solar panels on.
It'll be
and it's
interesting to
unclear
see
how
if-
many.
It'll be interesting to see if the grid can take the capacity though, the fact that the
Yes,
grid is at
yeah.
capacity and there's no room for any
Yeah.
solar panels, wind turbines or anything else in the power.
No EV charging points.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I thought the interesting thing here is that the building regs have changed, as Mary says, Pantel has changed now, I bumped a little bit. And it's imposing, I think it's energy requirements, and that's why they're having to put solar panels on.
Mm.
So we might see more of them.
Which is not.
Which is not a bad thing. I
As
mean,
long as they actually force the grid to upgrade so that
They might have batteries though, they might have
Yeah,
batteries.
I mean, it
so-
doesn't matter within an individual house, does it, so much? Yeah, I suppose.
No,
you can
that
back-
estate,
yeah,
no, that
back-
estate in Rotherham, they're all supposed to have panels, same as that estate top of Penistone, can't put them in because the grid can't cope.
because of what?
The grid can't cope.
Alright.
Well, if they've got batteries, well, the developers will be quite pleased about that, I'd imagine, save them a few quid. But the trees that have been removed as part of this, are they mature trees, or are they just?
I didn't check, it was additional trees. I think that,
They're along the road.
They're
along the
replanting,
road,
aren't
They're replanting and I tried really hard to find out which trees they were, but I couldn't.
And I found it really
The
hard to
plants are really
plant.
complex.
I mean, there's
couldn't
been
get it
a
down.
huge number of trees gone.
They've gone already.
Just need to tell Paula Pixie Moss from Welfare, she'll tie us up to them.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's one of these tree crusaders in Huddersfield. So I like to mention it to her and she got it.
so down there, she can glue herself to one of those.
Hey, listen, if it saves a tree, whatever.
Is this one that we're going to leave to Kirkland?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I wondered, slight aside, but whether it's worth having a look at these new building regulations. I mean, I did dig them out, but. some of
If
the
you can make
things-
sense of them, then you're a better person than most of us. Pay professionals and they don't know how to find one around.
They are complex, there's no doubt.
And they change all the time, don't they? So
I think we could see
it's-
changes as a result of it, which would be quite encouraging, actually. Okay. Which one are we on now then? 17.
Yeah, there's there are two of them, 17 and 20 the same, so it looks like it's duplicated. Isaac stuck his head in and said he approved. I approve. They've been done before, and I looked it up, we'd approved it before, so I think these are just, they just brought it back again with slight changes. It is a big, couple of walking extensions, but it's quite it's a house off by itself at the bottom of, what's it on there? Yeah. So
It's a big site and no one's going to really see it.
we,
We did
Yeah.
voting this one?
we did approve last time, didn't we?
Okay. 18 listed building for workshop and erection of shed and lodge store.
Which would become ours.
And this is, yeah, I mean, there's a minor, I mean, the change, they're putting in a new back door because they're doing internal rearrangements. And it's quite logical, and then they just want to build a slightly bigger log store. I'm talking to the applicant today, it's, I don't see a problem with it.
No, I thought it was alright, I looked at it as well. It's just minor, really minor changes, it won't be seen from the road.
What's the building again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
it
all-
gives him a back door which he hasn't got at the moment.
Well, surely needs one of them for fire regulations.
Well, I mean, he was more concerned that because he's got nice sash windows, if there was a fire, he can't get out.
It's something about fire, why should we be building logs?
We can support and
Yeah,
Yeah, we can support.
and either, you know.
subject to the list of building.
Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. 19, alterations to dwelling and workshop, or is the same?
Same one.
So, that one, yeah.
20,
There's a duplicate.
It's the same as,
20.
We need to.
Is the agricultural building.
It's
Yeah, just
a big sheep shed,
Yeah.
yeah. So the duplicating one that sits behind it.
Yeah, so, I obviously know the farm, I don't know him personally, I just know the farm. They are a family of farmers, so the history is that there's like 3 families, so they do have quite a lot of sheep. He has got a shed already off Dunford Road at Aidedge, and it's run on solar power, because you can't get power there basically, and battery. It's a genuine application, I can't imagine him
Fairly
turning anything.
typical Yorkshire type barn.
The one
And
that's
it's
put up.
quite remote.
any farmer who's actually wanting to extend the farming bit of his business should be encouraged.
Yeah.
Imagine, is it at the end of the track as well, Joe? 'Cause that farm's right at the end of the track, isn't it?
No, I think
No,
it's,
it's
so
on the bank.
Casey has bought his own section of land off Yorkshire Water.
Oh, right.
This is only what I know of John, I don't actually know if this is true,
Yeah.
right, actually just been lying. But like, to my knowledge, he has purchased some land off Yorkshire Water and he's starting his own section, although they are
Oh,
a
good.
family,
Yeah, no case.
They do,
The family.
do have their own flocks and stuff, so they are the main Penistone sheep rearer family breeders, so the Penistone sheep's like awful woodland looking things. But like, not my sort of sheep, but they are like custodians of the woodland sheep thing, so.
And they need a shed.
Are you getting all
They
this?
need a
You
shed.
get all this about the Penistone sheep.
You do know this is being recorded, don't you?
Nothing that I won't say to his face, I'm not. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
fine.
got ugly sheep. I don't like him.
The wins a lot of awards, doesn't it?
Yeah,
As
he
well
does,
for it.
they are very good at it.
No, it's they're quite like.
Well, he's the
well done,
best,
so
he's the
it's quite-
best producer of ugly sheep.
Yeah. You'll know it when you meet him. No comment. That's rare.
I'm supporting.
Also listed as a vulnerable rare breed.
Something like that,
There
yeah.
was an enormous amount
Some
of
Wikipedia.
detail, wasn't there? It was quite interesting.
Well, that for a shame.
Yeah.
We spent the time.
There's more detail for that than there was for that very first one we did in Honley.
Yeah.
We supported that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was the wrong one.
And that's.
Who'd have thought we would get this giddy about it?
So,
Page one, I got to do something, don't you?
84 then, Kirklees Council Planning Officers' decisions to notes. Well noted.
No, so
85, neighbourhood planning and reviewing parish council outcomes. Oh, SIDS.
Sids,
SIDS.
it's your turn.
Yeah. Why does that do that? SIDS. I have to remember. I circulated what I thought
Yeah.
were the
Yeah.
positions which
Thank you.
generally people are happy with.
Mhm.
If we're all okay with that, I'll go back to the engineer and tell him that's what we'd like to do. The only thing that we need to do beyond that is, that still gives us 3 more locations where we can put a camera, put this in. I don't know what people's thoughts are on that.
I thought we agreed just to get one done now and hang on a bit, didn't we? Or am I imagining?
So this is the one camera, but we've got locations.
Oh, I see, I'm with you.
And we've only selected 5.
We were in a hurry to get one agreed in order to get it up.
Are we taking suggestions? I just do struggle with the A616 from New Mill to Victoria Crossroads. It's an exceptionally fast road, and then also through Wade Edge, but from the village, like from the Bay Horse bit, as you come out where Scolesmore Road is, that bit up to the top, it's excessively fast, you know, on the motorbike routes.
Just start again, Joe.
So from, I'd say, I don't know where you'd say, it's from below Crossroads probably.
Jackson Bridge Crossroads from London.
No,
Yeah, from
Yeah.
Jackson Bridge Crossroads up to the top of the A616, one on there, but you'd have to choose a straight bit. There's been quite a few children that have gone through walls because it's a 60-mile-an-hour road, and the police have been out 7 times or something.
Yeah, it's national speed limit, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's the first bit where you're going up the hill, or coming down the hill, people can go past, but if you're coming up the hill there, you've got a few corners, it's
It's
a
from
bit
the
quiet.
chapel.
But then when you've got the final corner, and then you're going up towards the chapel, some people will probably drive too fast there, but if you've got any sense, you shouldn't be driving anywhere near over 40 there, because that road, you can't really go over 40 if you go around the corners properly.
They skip in front of you, take one and then straight down A616, it's quite bad. I've been very thankful for the roadworks. But also at Hayde Edge, you've got like from probably Far Lane up there, the couple that live on the corner of the house is quite, their drive comes out. So you come from the lower crossroads down, and then there's a bit of a back bend where Mick Golding lives.
Yeah.
And then there's a house there, and then there's Jackson's. This couple here are thinking about moving because the road is so fast. She's so scared to pull out her own drive now.
So from Lower Crossroads going down towards...
Do you know, like towards Hayde Edge,
Yeah.
just there, just to slow it down. I know it's a national speed limit road. I've asked her please to slow it anyway, but they won't. Just fair enough.
The problem is a lot of these drivers, the point aren't breaking the speed limit.
No.
Like, the one going in the A616, the point not breaking the speed limit, but like I said, if you're going over 40 on that road, you're not breaking the speed limit, but you can't get round in corners going 40. You have to slow down and go slower than that. So I don't know how they would really work. It might be a better idea to try and see if we can get the limits changed on them roads.
Yeah, maybe.
I know it's really bad for these people, but like they probably aren't breaking the speed limit, so they're not breaking the law. But it's for me, I would rather see the SIDS in locations where there's going to be more kids and people like that crossing the roads, the more populated areas. Like one of the ones mentioned is New Mill Road, which is near to where I live, and see some stupid stuff on there. People go around like idiots on there, and there's lots of kids around there, especially at school times and things like that. So I think that's where I would prefer to see them be, but I mean, there's going to be idiot drivers everywhere, and it's really hard to do anything about it.
I think we've got to think of SIDS as things that will work with sensible drivers who lose concentration for a while, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Is it possible to put SIDS on a 60-mile-an-hour limit?
I'm not entirely
No,
sure if I
no,
mean,
no,
all the
no,
ones
no.
that have been
Yeah.
used have been in 30, so we can't, but
Yeah, they are lots. They are quite speedy roads, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see. Well, it's only a suggestion.
the only other 2 areas I'm worried about, one was near the van room going up towards home, because originally
Yeah.
neighbour complaints came from that area, didn't they? We are restricted because there aren't very many suitable lampposts. There's possibly one on the way down from home, just near the van room. Probably get one there. The only other one I thought about was Greenfield Road. Now I know that we have one on there, but it's only once in 2 years, somewhere near the school, but there's a lot of speeding on that road. Going uphill actually, as it's on further.
These are places where people are coming out of the fast areas, and then coming into the slow bits, and they're not slowing down, are they? Like, that's where the problem is.
I mean, if you like, I'll have a look at, well, firstly I'll have a look at the 60 mile an hour thing, whether it's appropriate.
I
and we
mean,
can do it.
should we be reviewing as part of our overall sort of edict of operations and within the concept of the neighbourhood plan, speed limits on all our roads?
I think the thing is, some of this, maybe the SIDS, like, for example, as you're leaving Hayed Edge now, up to the top of the Cook Study, so where they're doing the speed bumps, those signs are like worn out, aren't they? So there's no signs there now. The council are replacing those signs as part of that Hayed Edge thing,
Yes.
but you'll find it at the top of the valley, up at home, and at the top of where the boundary roads are, that the road signs have like disappeared. And I've taken pictures of white horses instead of black horses and sent them to the police, and I'm still waiting for them to be changed. And the problem is that, how do you punish a driver if the road sign's not there? Do you know, like, if you're not making them aware that there is people, it's cyclists, and you don't even just have to have horses, you could have horses, cyclists, you know, the A616 is a massive cyclist route, so you're riding down on a Sunday morning, the cyclist is coming up and someone's going through at 80, you're like, it's either me or you, mate, do you know what I mean?
No, but I don't think you should need signs for like cyclists or for horses, because people should be aware of them and looking out for
But
them anyway, be careful.
They are already there though, and they're worn out, so there obviously was a need for
Okay,
a
fair
warning
enough.
sign.
Somebody thought they were necessary at some point.
Well, yeah, I get it, but
What we can do, just going back to the C locations, we don't have to agree now where these next 3 locations are anyway.
No.
You know, we've identified 5, which will take us through.
Could we put it on the
18
Facebook
months.
page of the Home Valley, do a communications thing, and suggest
Ask them
locations?
on their street.
I know, but we could just pick 3.
Only if you're going to do it, Jill.
I'll do it.
no, I just think it's frustrating. Sometimes
I'll just pick my 3 roads.
everybody always thinks that the cars are really bad on their streets and they're going way too fast and breaking the speed limits. But more often than not, they probably aren't doing, but they're just going a bit.
They sound like it.
They're a bit faster than they'd like them to be.
Or if you like these people near me with the stupid exhaust, which makes a lot of noise.
I'm going to suggest that we just leave it for now. Let's get the first 5 up
Yeah.
and running. With plenty of time to think about
Yeah.
where else we're going with it. Just as a science aside, I'm trying to find out how these things work as well. Might sound a bit daft, but if you think about when you're driving up to one of these seats, say it's a 30 and you're doing 40, it flashes up 40, and as you brake, it starts coming down, doesn't it? 38, 37, 30, until you go through it at maybe 30. So which speed is it recording?
I think it doesn't, I think it just records it as an event, doesn't it? Because you're setting it off, aren't you? So
No,
it
No,
records
but
it
they
as
do
a
produce,
degree.
they produce
They give us a data.
summaries of how fast people were going. So maybe it's the fastest.
They try to slow it down, don't they? So
Is it the average? Is it the...
I would have thought
Is it
they
the
would,
fastest?
no,
It's a
the
good question.
sensible
Fair
thing would
point.
be to record, if you're after getting the wrongdoing, you would record the fastest speed.
That's what it matters.
Yes, it takes, this cut, we had 70 cars through, come through today, and
Yeah,
90% came through at 50 mile an hour.
yeah.
They might have finally slowed down, but they actually hit the speed indicator.
So I'm trying to find that out. So
I'm thinking that's the relevant bit.
Because the slow down thing doesn't tell you before you get into the zone, it tells you you are going too
Yes.
fast in a zone.
Yes.
So you're already, that fastest speed is the rule.
And I mean, they do use the statistics that we get from it, which is useful.
I thought it was interesting when I seen it before what they produced. Yeah.
But there's got to be more than 8% exceeding the limit at which they would have been fined had there been a proper camera there
Yeah.
before they'll take any action.
Yes, there's no point feeling smug going, it's telling me now I'm doing 28. And I did doing 45.
The one that was on New Road, 30% were exceeding the speed limit.
I can believe that.
30%.
30% of drivers,
Yeah.
of all drivers were exceeding it.
So what did you do then? Put a camera up?
No, because only 7% of them were exceeding the limit at which they would have been fined. So we won't take any action.
Was that the one by the school? On the top, by the middle?
I can't tell you exactly where it is. I assume it's sort of halfway up the hill. I
Oh.
don't know. I never saw it.
Anyway,
So
I
I'm
think
trying
you're
to
right.
find
I think
some
we've
time.
made the decision for you.
They won't put cameras up unless there's been a fatality or a real bad accident on the road. I found that out on the special course I went on once. Friend of mine, so
We've all been on that course.
I've done that course too.
I've been on that course 3 times, Tom.
I've only
oh,
done it.
you're not winning, I've won it once.
Over a few years.
This smuggling girl not being
This time yet.
Did you take the fine?
You will. You
I
will.
got fined in 1973, never done it since.
I was really cross the second time because I'm really conscientious. I honestly don't speed. It really changed me the first time. And this time I lost concentration. I was coming out of Wakefield. I saw the 40 sign. I was doing 30 and kind of speeded up. And there was a camera about 50 feet in front of the 40 sign.
I know which
And
one
my
you mean.
brain had gone, 40.
I know which one you mean.
I got caught
Nothing
on
on the
camera.
bridge.
I've been flashed by that camera, but there mustn't have been any filming it because it didn't do it.
No, there was when I went through.
I got caught twice once coming from Huddersfield and then going up Neil Mill. Alright, laughing the same day.
I should have driven around the district seeing how many you could do.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Traffic
Anyway,
calm.
COVID saved so it's fine.
Traffic calming and the parking buddies. Councillor Fenwick's not here, so I'm not sure what's happened there. I haven't heard anything.
Should we defer it to the next meeting?
Do we know if he's alright? I mean, he hasn't sent apologies to him.
I've not heard anything.
Yeah, but he usually sends apologies.
You doesn't find sense of you, no? You don't
No,
know?
Okay, planning committee priorities. The chair of Vaughan Valley Parish Council.
I didn't use these words. They're not my words.
A signal their intention. I mean, essentially, this is putting together what as a committee we feel ought to be our priorities moving forward. So, with Mary's help, I put together a list of things some of the things that we're already on with and some that I thought might be useful to do over the life of the council. I don't know whether you've all seen it, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it now because I think it's just a case of are we happy with them as bullet points at this time, and then we'll have to start and put these on the agenda and go into them in some detail. So if I can just very quickly go through them. Streamlining the planning applications, trying to make it a little bit easier so that we can get through the quick Mrs. Smith.
Get through the dormer windows.
Yeah, and spend a bit of time on the ones that are contentious, that sort of approach. So there's a few ideas about how we might be able to do that. Pre-application with Kirklees. You see quite often that there are applications that have pre-application advice. Now, unfortunately, Kirklees don't share that with anyone, only the applicant,
It would be
which
nice.
makes it rather difficult, I think.
I think it would help us.
Yes, to know what advice they've been given. And if what they're doing is doing exactly what they've been told,
That
Yes.
don't mean no good.
it wouldn't be particularly clever of us to go, well, no.
So I'm sort of suggesting here we might make a formal application to Kirklees and say, can you give us the same advice?
But I take your point on number 2. We don't want to do pre-applications as well as applications.
No. And when you look at the government sort of legislation around this, they are suggesting that might be the case, but I don't think we'd be wanting to get involved with that. Consider opening discussions with local developers. So so that we can make our views known, and this incorporates, of course, the NDP stuff.
Well, we're aren't we controversial, because if we say we don't want to be part of the pre-application process, we can't then say, well, we want to be know what they're doing before they submit planning. I mean, we either do or we don't want to be part.
No, I was thinking on a much more general basis, so that we, for instance, when you look through the applications, you find that there's probably half a dozen local architects, developers, and I think it might be worth talking to them and just putting across our views before they even get to doing applications.
And learning what they think, and
Absolutely.
seeing if there's some way that can work for both sides. You know.
They may not wish to engage with us.
Well, I am currently working with 99 developers and builders and consultants, planning consultants within the Herne Valley and Huddersfield about some issues, but they are currently asking the government to take planning into control because they don't agree with the way it's going. So they might be interested in you, like talking to you about it and what you want to do within the Herne Valley, but you might also get the fact that it doesn't matter because what it says in planning legislation, they're saying that Kirklees don't abide by anyway, so you might get that negativity.
Well, and the government is currently planning lifting some restrictions on planning.
So you might be best there is some contention between builders and planners and surveyors and the head of Kirklees planning anyway.
I don't think we're ever going to make any headway with the like of, Jones Homes, for instance.
No.
We're not.
Well, you do whatever.
But the people that are across the road there, I can't remember.
Yeah, the genuinely local ones who do the
I mean,
smaller.
an APD, yeah, I mean.
But APD's done that one at Netherton that you don't like. You know that big one?
Yeah, I mean,
But they're not doing, did you know they're not doing the second half yet? They haven't sold the others. Quickly enough.
Yeah, but you know the extension that you don't like.
Oh,
APD's road.
Oh, I know, I mean, they were good drawings, there's nothing wrong with the drawings, but it's.
But they're supposed to know what you're going to pass in the valley. You're supposed to go to people like Robert Olsted's put something in that you've approved because he knows what the valley likes and what he doesn't like. I go to a planning officer that knows what
But
the valley
APD
likes.
should know that if Kirklees are saying you can build house extensions up to 33%, you don't then put in a 70% extension. Because you know it's going to, unless they've been told by their applicant, their client, this is what we want, and it'll be refused.
Yeah.
And I'm a friend of the minister.
Are you?
So you might put the planning in, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Are you a friend of the minister?
Part of me thinks that we should also
Like
maybe
that
keep
man who
them
had dinner with the minister the night before.
Yeah,
and
into
it was
Parliament.
Parliament.
Huge
Huge London
I don't know
occupation.
if we're into Parliament and others. And I think when it comes through, which people might
3 or
not
4
agree with, so I think that
15-storey blocks.
keep it as it is.
Yeah.
Well,
And
these
then
are
he had dinner with
these
the, he was just
Yeah.
full on dinner with the minister the night before.
Pat, I think we all need to accept that they're just crooks.
Yes.
Moving on, improving communications with Kirklees council officers and councillors.
Well, we chip
Yes.
away at that, we chip.
We started with these quarterly meetings, and I'd like to make that
Yeah,
sort
Yeah.
of form. We have talked about broadening that to the full council rather than just for planning, but at the moment most of the things seem to be planning, don't they?
Yeah.
If the full
But I
council
think
wants
anything
to do it,
that
and we've got a reason to meet them for planning, whereas if we're just meeting them to get to know them, it's all a bit,
no, but it could be,
I'm busy that night, I'm sorry.
it could be the case that like these meetings that we do have with the Kirklees councillors or whoever else attends, we might have half an hour to talk about planning, half an hour to talk about finance and general purposes things.
Yeah.
So they could give us a heads up about things which are happening and other things like that.
Yeah.
It'd probably help us with our budget and with our planning. So I could maybe carry on doing it, let's say we are doing the planning, but in the long term we can think about doing it maybe a little bit differently.
It would be nice if we had what we used to have in planning, where we had certain officers at Kirklees who looked after the Home Valley.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then you can build those relationships. We don't have that anymore, do we? Like,
gone back into years gone.
No, but the thing is though, that then they all made the same decision, didn't they? You can't use artificial stone, you can't do this is what's best for the valley, that's what's best for the
And
valley.
they became knowledgeable about their
Yeah,
patch.
and you just ring up going, I want to do this, and they go, no. And you're, alright.
That's
What can I do? I can do this, alright, I'll do that.
That's always what my dad said. My dad always said that about it. But he has to please that same question. They'll come back and say that there are different people who specialise in different things, and that's why sometimes you don't get the planning officer on the form anymore. We used to have a planning officer for each one, and sometimes you've had like 20 applications, and you look at it, you're like 8 different planning officers on it. And you think, why is there so many different planning officers on there? But then they'd say, well, so-and-so specialises in listed buildings and it's this and that. So I know what you mean. Like, could please aren't going to change the way they do it, I think.
Yeah,
Nice
I think we should carry on with the meetings with these councils.
Yeah.
It seemed beneficial to both parties, I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
The next one's on the 19th, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah, so
Which
far
one's
we've had so Councillor Davis has said he can't make it. Councillor Greaves has said he can, but he's coming from another meeting. Councillor Bellamy is saying she will be attending. I've not heard from Councillor McGrath or Councillor Crook. I wasn't sure, I didn't invite Councillor Firth in the end because he's put in for a dispensation from the parish council. I don't know what he's done about Kirk.
It's the same at Kirklees,
Is
sort of
it?
special
Is it?
dispensation.
Right, okay.
I'm pretty sure Councillor Crook will be coming because
Yes, it's been talking about it.
we talked about it at the last meeting.
Yeah, well, he's not replied,
No.
so I'll nudge him.
Okay, responding to all consultation requests from external bodies. That's just something that we do as and when they arise.
We're ready for all of them, we do it when we see fit.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe
If
take
we
it all
think
out.
it's worthwhile. then-
Yeah.
And the last bit was work to reduce speeding and speed limits, and this is the scenes that we've already talked about. I think perhaps in the fullness of time we might consider getting another one, but we're not there yet.
Let's go with the first one, guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to suggest something sort of medium to longer term. That's difficult to pin down, but it seems to me, it's called a planning committee, but we don't do planning, we do houses. And I think it would be to the benefit of people who elect us, it would be to the benefit of us, and hopefully to the other officers involved, if we're more involved in town planning. You know, and that we could, I don't know how we would set about this, we'd need a working group to think about this, but have a think about how we could expand our brief to have fewer dawn windows and a bit more involvement in which way the traffic will go around Home Firth and particularly the kind of homely people orientated bits like street furniture that is put on narrow pavements and stops pushchairs and wheelchairs getting through, and not just stuff that's ugly. I mean, stuff that's impeding, stuff that's just downright ugly and you don't need it. It's been up there 5 years. It's become invisible, whatever. And that sort of stuff, you know, and the way in which shop fronts are presented, and you know, the sort of enjoyment of the town and enjoyment of the valley, I should say, aspects of planning. And I don't know how we'd set about making this happen, but I think we'd all get more out of it.
In Horbury, my friend owns a cake shop in Horbury, it's very good actually, it's called Rich's Fancy Cakes if you ever go. I am going there for an evening. But basically, Horbury is like a little town, and they give a grant of £500 to the shops, and they award so many shops a year, and they give you a colour scheme. They give you money towards shop frontage signage, and they've gone down the vintage, traditional shopper route. And you know, if you had like a bit like Kay's or like the gift horse, that's quite a nice looking shop at the front, isn't it? But if you had like traditionalist colours, and they could apply for a grant to do shop frontage signage, whatever. Maybe that's an idea?
Yeah, I think that's to be considered.
Well,
I'd like to get rid of the impediments first.
I would say that we have been doing some of it, you know, because we've had, you know, we had discussions over the, what it was called before it turned into the Home First Blueprint. We have done quite a lot of this. I would say it probably is missing from this, so perhaps we just need to add something on there. And there's also the work that
I mean,
Stephen's
the
worked out what
conservation
party
group,
you want.
we're hoping that our next meeting, which is beginning of next month, we will have got at least past our second draft for the shop fronts and signage. But we met today and we were also talking about, and I think this is where it ties up with what has just been said, is that Kirklees is meant to be doing management plans for all conservation areas. They can't do one for Huddersfield. They're never going to get to us. And so what it was suggested that
They would do it for them.
that the conservation group write to the club, and the client writes to Kirklees to say, under the auspices of the neighbourhood plan, the parish council will produce a conservation area management plan in conjunction with Kirklees, but the parish council and anyone it cares to employ will do a management plan. And the conservation group, at no cost to the council, will produce that.
Sounds good.
And that will look at things like street furniture, signage, lamps, extraneous stuff that shouldn't be there, all sorts of things, not just for Home Firth, but it could
The whole
equally
valley,
be
it's got to be the whole valley, yeah.
to Homley, because that should have a management plan that Kirklees employed someone to do one, and it's sunk without a trace. No one knows what's happened to it.
Yes, it got written but never seen, didn't
Yes.
it?
One thing we might get involved with later on is that the, I get my name working here, the Kirklees local plan, which is what they should be working from, something for housing. I think there's two aspects to it. You've seen something in the press lately. They're supposed to have 5 years worth of land available in advance, and we're down to 3.3, which opens the doors to developers building houses on sand and something silly like that. There's that part about it, and it's due for review anyway. And I think they're going to go to consultation. Well, sure they are. So there's probably an opportunity for us there to get involved with that consultation. I'm not sure how it works. I don't know how to identify land for development. I've no idea. Do they just pluck it out of thin air?
Yeah, the asked people to put the names forward, didn't they, where all the land that they got suggested basically. And then people were saying, oh, if they looked at it and thought it was alright, they'd adopt it in the plan. That's kind of what they did. They asked people to invite people to put in for it. I was going to say about Pat mentioned about A-boards and things like that. We had something that came through years ago about that, because people were complaining that they couldn't get past them. So we were told in Home First, if you're going to have an A-board, have it propped up against your building so that it's not sticking out in the highway. Top of the orange bottom, so that it goes down towards the pitch drum. We put up this big sign thing there, where people can put their little signs of advertising their own businesses. That was something we did with the parish council to try and make it look a bit tidier there. But there's bits of it which can be improved with. And I do think that we do a better consultation with the Kirklees officers about Home First management. We never hear anything about Homley or other village centres. But we could point, that could definitely improve for Homley, but they're probably not doing anything with it at the moment. Home First, they're doing stuff with it. So we have had some consultation on it over the last few years, especially about the original plans for when they're doing the highways and everything going down Hollowgate and then through the car park, which was disastrous. So anyway, so we did a consultation with them then about that. And there's been bits and pieces about other things over the years as well, but like I suppose at the moment we're kind of waiting for the next part of the scheme to start. But when that happens, we'll see, won't we? The blueprint, what it's called.
I was just wondering whether just to kind of finish this off, if we add these points to the draft, if perhaps you and Andy and I work together and just amend in reflecting the discussion we've just had.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because everybody seems to be agreeing.
this is never going to be. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be anything like perfect. But at least we've made a start really, and we can refine it as we.
And I think
go along.
we'll have to sort
Yeah.
of, once we've got beyond this stage, we'll have to start and pick off it and say, let's
Yeah.
tackle this one.
Yeah.
I just want to say just one thing about it, which is that I added the strategic. We've got 5 strategic priorities from the parish council, which were only agreed in 2021, I think, not very long ago anyway. So I've grouped these under the strategic. Well, only 2 of the 5 strategic priorities, and I think that gives a structure, and it should give a structure so they compare across the committees if they are using the same kind of structure.
Okay, thank you. 86 Peak District National Park Authority, to note the planning applications.
Noted.
Noted. Consider new applications received to 5th of September, list 2324. So this is the new applications, and there's only one. And that's 232403 PD, Home Castle. They want a garden room in Home Castle, They've had pre-app advice. Now it's quite interesting that this is because it's a peak district. When they've had pre-application advice there, it goes on the application form, so you do see it,
Yeah.
which is useful, I think. And their advice was, this is where we think you should put it, and it should have a pitched roof. That was it. And that's what we've done.
It's fine.
Quite a sensible thing to do.
It's stuck in a corner.
It's
you can't
I
see it
wouldn't
from
say in
anywhere.
a garden. And if it was anywhere other than home.
But the only thing I'd say about it is it's adjacent to Underhill, which was deliberately designed not to show.
That's true, yeah.
Well, it doesn't show, does it? So that's a win, but there isn't.
You could say it's not in keeping with
Well,
the surrounding
garden
building.
room underneath, but I don't think they see much.
The surrounding buildings are invisible.
Underground garden room, that'll be that basement that's going on.
Anyway, I thought we should support it. To note, no new decisions, noted. Any further actions? I don't think there are any further actions. We've not had any play about that last time, have we?
No.
Item 87, ongoing highways campaigns.
Has anything changed on any of them?
Not a lot, I can go through them very quickly. Burnley Road, allegedly what's happening there is that they're going to clear the debris and they're going to reopen it.
Can I just give you an update on that?
Yeah. I don't yet, because I came past it.
Yeah, well, so, South Lane's come to my attention because I've got a problem at opposite the chapel. Councillor Bailey normally on this planning meeting. Anyway, so basically, because the chapel's being used at Chopper's Mission Chapel, there's been a lot of activity there, and some people have done a 3-point turn and knocked the copings, the toppings, into the field. Anyway, if you phone the council, normally they send a crane, you'll need a bloody wheelbarrow, but they send a crane and 3 men to do all day move 2 toppings, right? So anyway, the road's been pushed again, the wall's been pushed again, and the couple who live there are lovely, but absolutely panicking about the wall because of the situation on South Lane, right? So I've spoken to Ivan on South Lane, And I've spoken to the NFU today and the Heritage England campaign thing, because I don't know if you know this, so I'm going to just tell you, right, for openness, that all dry stone walls are covered by English heritage, and if you steal one, it's classed as a heritage crime. If you pull one out, it's classed as a heritage crime. If you put one in and then you pull it out, it's a heritage crime. So, if they fall over and you don't repair it, it's classed as a heritage crime. So don't ask me why, I'm just telling you that's the law. So, I've spoken to them today and they're all very concerned about the situation with Kirklees not wanting to take owners of the walls that hold the roads up. The NFU, obviously I'm insured with the NFU, as are most landowners in the Home Valley, and I have some land that is underneath Chopper's Mission, and I'm not being funny about it, but I'm not paid to rebuild that road. So I've asked them today to speak to the legal team about what the situation is with valleys, with roads in the valley that have walls that hold up the road, because for example, if you're down on Burnley and that wall collapses for whatever rhyme or reason, right, you don't want the council putting a charge on your land to rebuild the road, the wall, and that is what they're doing. And the situation with South Lane or Ivan, that is just not even legal what they're doing, I've checked today. So I've told Ivan to just stop, to take a step back. And then the NFU are going to look at all the roads that adjoin all the land in Holmfirth, and we're just going to get some clarity on it, because I don't want anybody in the Home Valley feeling like, you know, if you live in somewhere in the village in Home and you've got a massive wall that there's a road above it, and that wall comes down because you've planted a hydrangea at the bottom, and council's going, it's your fault because you've planted that tree or planted that bush. That's a lot of responsibility. So I just want some clarity of the council as to where they stand. I appreciate they've got no money. Neither does anybody else. So I don't want people to feel like they have to sell their homes or they're at risk, or, you know, there's a lot of houses on South Lane that are considering putting their houses up for sale now over this. You know, it's just not fair.
There are the two different situations really. At Burnley, what they're saying there is that the lady in question, her garage, isn't going to fall down because the foundations are fine. So they can sort out who's doing what at a later date.
The insurance company offered to pay that, but whatever.
But what they're saying is we can just clear the road now because it's not going to, the house isn't going to fall down. So supposedly that's what's happening.
Right.
But that was back in June. It's not happened yet, has it? So we'll see what's their space. South Lane is slightly different, and the latest on that was that the owner of the business underneath was liable for that. Kirklees were going to do the work and then charge him.
Well, I've looked at the deeds of the land on South Lane and it's not on the deeds. Spoken to NFU, and I've spoken to the guy who used to be in charge of that area of the business, and he's put in writing that it's always been Holmfirth's responsibility, well, the council's responsibility. So, told him to just stop now till we get some proper legal advice, because there's an impact across all of the valley. So, for example, you know when it rains and it all pours through the walls, you don't want a wall to go down on Dunford Road and it to be some poor pensioner who's having to fork out a charge on the land, or, you know, it's just not, I just want some clarity. I just think it's so unfair and absolutely devastating for people who it possibly could affect. I mean, when it rains and you drive down Dunford Road, it absolutely pours through all those walls. You know, so the council did originally admit that they were responsible for the wall with the evidence given. We've had some advisors come over from Lancashire who've said definitely a council wall. So we've told Ivan to stop now, and the NFU are getting involved, because obviously there's a lot of land that's held up by roads, and a lot of roads that are held up by walls, lands, you know what I mean? The situation with Chopper's Mission, where they're doing a 3-point turn and pushing that wall, I'm not kidding, that'll be hundreds of thousands of pounds if that wall goes and Kirklees decide they're not going to take responsibility for it. There's no weight restriction on the road, all the water comes down from long ways across the road, under the road, through the walls. It's just not a good situation to be in, so that's my update anyway for interfering. I'm sorry that's too late.
Ramsden Road, and I think in Cheesegate Nab as well. Supposedly they're putting TPOs on these roads, and supposedly they were going to be in place by the end of July. Guess what? No idea when it's going to happen. I'm not giving any answers at the
I think
moment.
that's the question for next week, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Cartworth Moor Road, we've not had any response on that.
I went down that the other day, it were alright actually, it's better than it was. It's not, it's alright.
They were supposedly taking enforcement action against him for the number of lorries that were running, but
Well,
nobody seems to know whether that's
so
happening.
I did like a sideline thing, and got Bursk involved, and they reduced the number of movements, because those that can do that, and away the lorries, so we know that now. And then, that's reduced it a little bit, but Sam has fixed the road, so it is passable now. You could go down it on your bike, you'd be alright, it's not like, it's not brilliant, but it's not as bad as it was. And then I can get down it in my car now, so I suppose that you won't be able to go down it in a little car, but you can go down it. But there was an article in the BBC that you might want to just do a bit of a read up on, where it's now on a suspended sentence
Yes,
because of that.
I've
And
seen
so
that, yeah.
obviously now things might change slightly, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, it was restricted to 18 movements a day.
No, it was 18 a week.
Oh, sorry. Well, he's not kept to that.
No, it hasn't, but
He's
it
been
has.
doing 20 a day plus.
It has reduced since I got Wilson involved, because the council just weren't doing anything.
Well, there was another problem with that, and the council officers were frightened.
Oh, I know, well, no, I know, and
They
the
were
full
frightened for
Wilson.
their life, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not, planning officers have been killed on duty.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a pleasant sight when you meet people like that. I've been threatened with the land of Dunham before,
Well,
in David Dale, so I know what it's like to
No,
meet
it's
a
not.
violent landowner.
They put some traffic movement things in, and he wound them up, and we told them, put them back down, ripped them out.
But, you know, as I say, unless you go up with armed police,
Oh, yeah, and they have been up there recently as
you
well,
know,
so.
Is this about your grandchild?
Yeah, just as honest to be extremely careful about it.
Mm,
an unpleasant character.
yes, it is.
Anyway, the last one on the list is Netherthorne Centre, the double yellow lines that never got replaced. Not had any response on them either, they've never been replaced. So.
I've got one into it. Oh, sorry, that hasn't been done with no form.
Never been done.
Oh, right. Because that's one prison report. She'll be talking to me about it at some point. As I mentioned, Kirk Bridge Lane from in New Mill, the one that subsided January last year when there was all the storms and everything like that. And that's supposed to be getting worked on this next week or so. Moses Crook posted something on Facebook about it the other day.
He did mention it at our last quarterly meeting actually.
Yeah, so we've got a good, well, that one seems to be moving forward anyway. Which is probably one of them. Yeah, that's good.
It's fairly sort of negative, but I don't suppose it's going to get any easier, is it, with the financial situation, is it?
I think as well, I think a lot of the problems to do with this are the extreme weather that we have. Like, as I mean, there's a lot more water and rain coming through sometimes, and when it does storm, it's really bad. And I think that's
Road collapses are going to get worse, not better.
yeah, there's a lot more that seem to be happening now than there were years before. I'm not one of these huge climate change evangelists going crazy about it all, but it's not a coincidence that these things are happening more often than they were before.
The thing is that when you report issues like, for example, Choppers Mission, they come out and go, well, it's not that bad yet. Well, you sort of like, surely prevention is better than cure. Like,
There is, but
yeah.
And cheaper than cure.
I totally agree with you, Joe.
Not to get credit, you could have had a wheelbarrow.
When I first joined the council, we're talking about 15, 16 years ago, I was campaigning to get Butt Lane in Hepworth resurfaced because it was full of potholes and really bad then. It got resurfaced about a year or so afterwards, and I was told it cost about £250,000, and it shouldn't cost that much if you maintain the highways and you do these type of things. And it's been done again, not recently, this last 6 months, it's all been done again recently. And rather than just doing it like bits and doing it big time every 12, 15 years, maintain it so that you don't have to do these things. But then there's the cost of the daily maintenance and all the budgets and all that kind of stuff.
To be fair though, Book Lane is better now that they've resurfaced it, but surely there is a trillion other places they could have used that money to fill potholes, repair roads, fix walls, do drainage. You know, like if, I'm sure people will prefer patchy roads to like great big holes in 99.9% of road surface except for one road. It's just a bit, you know, false economy, isn't it? And I know that they say you can fill a hole in and then it'll rain and wash it out and whatever. But Barnsley seem to do it quite well. And if you phone them and say that's not brilliant, that pothole you filled in, they'll come out and do it again. So, you know, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Okay, moving on, 1988, unmade roads, green lanes, byways of Hull Valley. I think this item refers to, we asked them for a sort of policy, didn't we, on what we were doing with them. I don't think we ever had a response.
No, we didn't.
I don't think there's anything to add to that.
I just, I mean, so we're meeting, aren't we, Kirklees councillors? So, I'm just wondering who's drawing up the agenda for that meeting. I mean, obviously all of we need to raise all of these issues, don't we, at that meeting, but someone needs to draw up an agenda for the meeting.
I mean, unfortunately, at the moment, it looks pretty much like the last one.
Well, yes, it probably
It's a bit unfortunate.
yes. Yeah, well,
There may be other things to add to it, I don't know. But, I mean, in answer to your question, I guess, look at the end to me, and, I'll put something together. If you want to chip in,
it's fine.
If you
Just
want to
long
do
as
it,
it's
then.
good.
89 footpaths, public right of way. Reporting any updates received. We haven't had a meeting, the last one was cancelled and they haven't arranged another one yet, public rights of way forum, so I have nothing from that.
We have a public footpath that crosses our land, and I don't really mind, it's whatever, but I've had a walking route recently, like a gentleman's walking route that comes through on a Wednesday, came through on a Sunday and he lost his way. I've asked Kirklees Council for some discs, you know, the round discs, so I can just put them on the chuffing post so the poor people know where they're going. And 2.5 years later I'm still waiting for the bloody disc. You know, like, I don't mind hammering the disc in to tell them which way direction of travel it is, but like, you know, there's so many people who get bloody lost. Come out your kitchen going, go in one way, you need to come this way and go that way. You go past my kitchen window.
Tell them to read them out.
I've sent to kids and I get so angry.
You could sell bacon sandwiches.
Pat, one every decade, you know what I mean? Sorry for it. I'd have prepped myself on a Saturday morning for kids and nobody will come. But, do you know from the, so we've got the bridle route, which is the cycleway, which we do keep and is actually very much improved, so that's fine. But the footpath, we've cut all the hedges away and whatever that we have to do, but they just get lost in next door's field and you just feel a bit sorry for them being chased by a cow. So, because we've gone the wrong way. I just wondered if you could ask him for, you know, it's a
I
private
think
disc,
these
so
are
we
the
can-
things that are very frustrating because they just never get to them.
I think it would be good though, like Joe's just one person on the footpath going through our land. There's probably a lot of people throughout the valley. Like if we could ask Kirklees if they could provide us with some, we could have some and people could collect it from the offices. Or we could even buy our own if Kirklees aren't going to do that. And then that would help a lot of people.
Just feel sorry for them, they come for a leisure walk and they get stressed.
But we do have a legal power to sort of, to have signs for footpaths. The Parish Council can use its money to do that.
I'm not asking you to use your money, I'm just asking you to use
No,
their
no.
money to give us
But we could.
You have several thousand quid. You've got
It's not
3,000
like
quid.
£1 million to make a few
I
quid.
think we should ask Kirklees first, but we still need to look into that because
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, one of the big arguments that me and the missus have is when we're on a walk and we get lost. I get told I should go in that way, I should go in that way, and that's happened quite a few times, so if it's
come
going
with
to
your
avoid
phone,
that.
run out of signal, don't know where you're going and you're like.
I've got Google Maps
Feel
now, helps
sorry
you out.
for him.
I know what you mean.
I think it's
As a starting point is we ask Kirklees public rights of way if we can have some.
Yes, some of their discs.
And ask Homeforth Walk as a welcome as as well, because they're quite on top of these things, aren't they?
Yeah.
And marathon walkers are welcome. That's quite a strong word.
Because I think the footpath down the river, I think, presumably River Home Connections have done that, but they've all been newly signed, haven't they?
How
You know,
many
you know
now
those-
last 2 weeks? Is it?
Well, it's
Fairly
probably
recent.
in the last sort of year or so.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay. I probably haven't noticed, but so I'm aware of it.
So that just
Keep
brings
the
us on
river
to
on one
like
side.
night walkers on that one, they don't get lost on my bit, they just get lost everything less than my bit.
£2.52 on
Have you
the
found one?
internet. Yeah.
I just buy my own then.
Item 90, planning policy and guidance. Committee resolved to invite the Kirklees Officer for Conservation. Have we had any response?
No, I contacted her again, but couldn't
Is
get
this
any.
This is a don't hold your breath one.
Yeah.
It's a shame that though, isn't it, because you're trying to,
Yes.
Well, that could go on the agenda, couldn't it?
Yes, and I mean, we did have some discussion, didn't we, some time ago, that really, as parish councillors, we can be like, you know, the eyes of Kirkley, because they're obviously very short of staff, so and look at the buildings in our patch and report back if it's, I mean, it started with a discussion about Lord's Mill in Wagdale. So we could be helpful too, that's why it's frustrating, because we could be, you know.
It's free,
we could actually
they'd be
help.
getting volunteer
Yes,
help.
it's really volunteer help, yeah.
yeah, but you're creating work.
That's true.
Okay, item 91, design code.
So
Councillor Mansfield.
we're meeting again beginning of next month, and we hope by then we'll have been discussed our second draft of design draft. So hopefully coming to you soon.
Good.
Thank you. Item 92, West Combined Authority Rail Strategy Consultation. That's now gone to them, I believe. And I think they will come back to us eventually, won't they, and tell us?
Yeah.
And the facts of the-
Yes, yes.
Can we ask for a train? Used to be loads of train lines.
Item 93, Kirklees Flood Management Plan.
Can I get a suggestion for this flood management plan?
Mm-hmm.
I live at the top of Overfirth on the Beddinedge Road, which passed my house over the other down there. Right, basically, where we live at the top, obviously when it rains, the water runs down the hill, yeah? So I contacted, I don't know, someone in Kirklees and said, please can I put some trees in my culvert to slow the water flow, because it was actually quite bad a couple of winters ago and took my dog down the valley in the water flow. So it was quite speedy. And although you can hear a trickle, right, Defra said that there is no water flow there, there genuinely is. A few years ago, Councillor Donald Firth, Nigel Patrick and Ken Sims came up and they wrote a plan to basically show where the water flow was. They presented it to the council. It is here somewhere in the record archive of this. But basically shows you where all the water runs. Now if you come down the A6 on the way to New Mill, it runs all off the valleys, it picks everything up, it throws it down Epworth, it picks all the drainage up under the roads, all the stones and rocks, it throws it down New Mill Road, it's like a river, pulls the tarmac out of everything. If we could stop the flow by offering trees to go into those natural culverts, then we would help the risk plan of the trees. And I think that you'll find a lot of farmers would be interested in that, because I've had the National Trust out, and because I've already got the National Forestry Commission people, Woodland Trust, because I've already got trees in there, they won't give me any trees. But like, for me to buy 100 trees, it's quite a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? If I'm buying 4 or 5 trees, I'm not bothered, but if I literally would need 100 trees, little sapling trees, to stop that river flow. And also then, it is a woodland area in natural habitat, carbon offsetting and all this other jazz. but there is quite a lot of them, especially, do you know off Hurst Lane? So at the top of Hurst Lane where it joins up by Whittaker's, the triangle bit,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, short cycle it, weren't you? It was closed because it had all eroded away. That is because the water runs down the road, down the hillside, across the road, down the banking, and straight into New Mill from there to the River Hullo. So I wondered if there's something that we can look at for flood protection.
If you look at this, I mean, they're asking us if we want to get involved with consultation. To be fair, Mary's put most of this together, and I chucked a few ideas in as well. It's a huge set of documents, isn't it? And there are all sorts of things in there, and the very things you're talking about, sort of slowing down the water through various means, making little dams, vegetation, all sorts of things. And really what they're asking us, I think, generally is, do we want to get involved with this sort of process, this flood management? And I think there's a number of opportunities where not just the planning, but other committees could get involved, particularly climate, you know, things like the things you've been talking about. I think there's plenty of opportunity. So at this point, what they're saying is, do you want to get involved with the consultation? Can you let us know your opinions? And so that's in the pack of information somewhere, the stuff that we've put together at the moment.
I think in our response, sorry, you and Mary, you've got a question.
I was just going to say
Yeah,
that
sorry,
what Joe was saying, you know, that's this in the natural flood management, you know, includes tree planting. And I'm also thinking that the case committee, the environmental side of the case committee is looking for projects, because there's an awful lot of money sitting there which needs to be spent, and this actually could be quite a quick win, couldn't it? And as we were saying earlier, we're entering the tree planting season, so maybe that's something we can.
Obviously, I'd have to declare that I do own a problem on the land, and that's nothing I can. But, do you know what I mean? But there is just other people in the valley exactly in the same
You're
position.
one of presumably
Many.
dozens anyway.
But it's the people down the hill, down the valley that do something more than you do, because they're the ones that get flooded.
Yeah, I feel sorry
So-
for it.
so-
There's
but-
nothing I can do.
But we did, but we can prevent it. There's also, there is ways to do it.
I mean, there was an awful lot of information in these documents.
We could start a discussion with
Yeah.
the whole connections, because that, you know, they're huge projects, and it's just how all this about that, so we just need to get moving on to the list.
But there is an awful lot, if you've got a spare couple of days to read through it.
Well, yeah, it's
There's
huge,
a
and
lot
the
of
maps are very interesting.
And it's quite scary altogether.
Yeah.
And I think from a planning perspective, we're going to have to be more aware of when we see projects and
Big
things
developments,
potential
particularly
floodplains.
water tables and
We need to take
yeah.
note of it and flag it
It's
up.
been going on for 20 or 30 years and everybody goes, oh, isn't it bad and does nothing.
So anyway, my thanks to Mary for putting that together, and I think we can send that in, can't we, as our response. Consultation on an upgrade to a mobile base station and mast. I have to say, I only just skimmed through this and I didn't know whether we should be doing anything.
Sorry, I've had a look at it. Like, it's in Poleston, but it's kind of right next to my ward, and it's somewhere where I've walked past it hundreds of times, because it's one of the best walks in the valley, I think. Going up that hill and around, brilliant. And there's already a mast there, and this new one that they're going to replace it looks pretty much exactly the same. It might be a little bit taller, but I don't know if it. I don't look at the plans, I couldn't quite tell. And if it is a little bit taller, it's out of the way, and you can only see it if you're actually at the top of the hill. So I think it's okay, and it should improve communications as well.
So should we respond and say we'd be supportive?
Yeah. With no objection, I think will be the word. No objection.
Yeah,
No objection, yeah. They look pretty much the same, don't they?
Yeah, I was looking
difference.
back and forth. They're keeping those 3 quarters of it the same as it is, just a little bit that's changing.
Item 95, place standards. This is quick, nothing really to report. We had the first meeting, which only really set out the agenda for future meetings, so nothing much care out of that. The next one is actually tomorrow night, so at the next planning meeting, I should have something to report. Item 96, committee budgets. To note, planning committee has one budget line, containing £3,000. Earmark reserves with two funds, 3,000 for the Holmfirth Market projects and 7,000 for road safety, of which this is where the SIG funding is coming from, isn't it? My view on the 3,000 for the Holmfirth Market is that I don't think that's required anymore.
I'd be very surprised if
They've had
they find a way of using it.
We've had funding from Kirklees, I
I
think.
think we should just note it for now, and there is that area in the budget which we can move around and use for something else
Yeah.
possibly later on. But or might even remove it from the budget for next year if we don't have any spending.
Yeah.
I mean, what would we do with this if?
That's up to you to decide. So the earmark reserves, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask, you'd have to ask council,
Yeah.
go to council with an idea, but you know, you've talked about things tonight.
Yeah, could go on helping alleviate tree planting
Yeah, tree
schemes in
planting.
the Upper Valley.
And making discs for walkers.
Yeah, exactly.
And a coffee machine for that corner. Item 2 under that, the last remaining printed copies of the Holme Valley Neighbourhood Development Plan have now been made available.
That is not true. I meant to give that out before the start of this meeting, but got a bit distracted by the little meeting going on beforehand. But yeah, so there are enough copies for this committee to have for everybody to have their own copy.
I brought a copy back from Doug's Carey, who's
Oh, yeah.
practically my neighbour, the other day, and I spoke to Jen, and she said she hasn't had time to write to parish councillors, or ex-parish councillors that she's going through.
Sean's going to give his to Glenn Kirby.
So really, we made a big point of the fact that not just people on the planning committee, but all parish councillors should have a copy, and I
Yes, they
still
should.
think that is the case. So.
No, I need to get a copy of my dad back as well. So she did give it back.
So at the moment, we sit tight and see.
Okay.
See.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
she's going to write to the
Has everybody
ex-councillors.
got one?
No, I was saying these three won't have.
No.
I'll give you three a copy now.
I have a digital copy of the one that was voted on.
Yeah, you can.
That's fine. Then,
If you want a paper copy,
I'll come if I need it.
okay. You two want a paper copy?
Okay, item 97 then, publicising the work of the Holme Valley Parish Council. Consider recent events or news that this committee wishes to publicise via the press. Have we anything?
Could we say that we're looking at water flow, and that if anyone's got any
Yeah, that's a good
upper
idea.
water flow things to get in contact, or do you want to wait?
It's up to me, really, is it? But,
Aye.
I mean,
Feel like, I think the trouble is you publicise things. You
People might
publicise them to
expect us to start doing something next month. You know,
We need to start.
Yeah.
you know, I asked for 50 trees and you said come back in January.
I think when we got the trees, or if we do decide to go down that route, like if we haven't really decided, but like when we do have it, then it's something that we go out to people with.
I think when we've done something and it's in place, then that's the time to
To publicise our achievements and.
Yes, I think if
the
the SID might do
the
something.
key
The
signs.
same, we can, we can publicise.
We haven't done it really, have we?
And your work as well when that comes to
Yeah.
fruition.
But I think your point with the SIG was they were saying that it's basically not going to be quick, didn't they? But it's going to.
Yeah,
So I think we should wait on that.
I don't want to depress everybody with that.
No. It's what we know, isn't it? It's the way.
I think we should,
Although
I think we should
we are
pay for a street party when some of those road repairs happen.
No, the street party wants to close still.
Although we are paying for this thing, it still has to be purchased through Kirklees. The engineer concerned can only authorise, I think he said £5.
Yes, it did say 5.
So it has to go to his boss. his boss is currently
He's
off work.
authorised to spend £5.
Boss is off
What
work.
is
His
the
boss is
point of
£5.
authorising somebody to be able to spend
Wouldn't even
£5?
be able to buy a book of
You
stamps,
can't,
would
you
it?
can't post more than about 2 letters
Well,
for
he's-
that.
By a sandwich.
His boss is off work and has been for some time, but is expected back sometime in September.
And how much
If
does
that
that
person
cost?
doesn't if that person doesn't come back, it goes to his boss's.
So can the boss go up to 20?
He says, don't expect it to be quick, and even when it's all authorised, there's a 10-week lead time.
So anyway, Mary, not in your time.
And maybe not in any other time as council.
Oh, I just think we get the grand opening ceremony for the city. And the Mary like takes the blanket off it and the cover off it or something like that. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
So, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Just somebody, are